Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Lucas. This is 45B Cardano Enablement, and this is one live call to gather more learners to our Web3 workshop series and explain a bit what all this is about. So we're very happy to have you here, and we're going to jump right in. Today we have a number of guests. And I'm going to bring up Aomi, who was on the previous call. Welcome. Nice to see you. We also have a new joiner, Owen, who has signed up for the next cohort of our Web3 workshops. And we have someone that has participated on the previous cohort that was in Portuguese, because we are both Portuguese. So welcome, Marco. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Cool. So I'm going to keep you on the stage. I'm still getting used to this live streaming thing, but I'm also going to start sharing my screen to contextualize our viewers about what is 45B and what is Web3 overall, okay? But we don't have any way to raise your hand. Well, actually, you can do it visually, but you can just jump in anytime if you have anything to add to any points as I'm mentioning them. Okay, so sharing my screen, just preparing the right window. Here we go. So 45B stands for 45 billion of ADA. And ADA is the coin of the Cardano blockchain. Overall, our goal is to onboard end users and organizations to this Cardano blockchain as users of Web3. Okay, so we focus on education, design, project management, mostly product management, let's say. So if you're building an app, if you want to incorporate Web3 in your current business, we are there to partner with you and onboard you from day one. And the main reason for today's call, actually for this series of calls, is to promote this series of Web3 workshops where you're going to learn what all this jargon is. Actually, we mean to remove or make the jargon a bit more user-friendly, even on this flyer that I have on screen. We've already ran one cohort in Portuguese, and now this is spinning up the next cohort in English. Eventually, we're going to branch out to other languages. So I think overall, 45B is also able to organize community events. Constitutional workshop here, for example, was something we did back in September 2024. And just to put some faces to the team, I am the founder and an educator and a product manager. And then we have several different professionals from different skill sets that help on different projects. If you want to get to know more about these projects, the simplest way is to follow us and get in touch. But for example, if you hop over to our YouTube, it's the best way that visually you can see the different flavors and themes of what we've been doing on Cardano. So I think, this is what I can say about 45B itself. If I go over to the Know More page about the Web3 workshops, you have a bit like of a teaser here. And we have here also the structure of the workshops that we mean to do. I keep calling them workshops because it's not formal training. You're not going to be being tested or something like that. It's mainly a bit like we are doing here, and that's what we're trying to do in the open, having open conversations and answering your questions, tailoring our discussions and our topics to what you have been questioning yourself about, so that we can help you to tailor your route into Web3. If we see it from a bit more detailed angle, this, for example, is something that was improved on from the cohort that Marco attended. So now we are doing this by stages. We're doing three-stage approach, where in the first stage, we're doing these live calls that are live streamed weekly and some extra sessions if we need. The goal is to gather more participants and to discuss some initial concepts like we're going to do here today, a bit about Bitcoin versus ADA and Cardano, and a number of initial concepts that we may raise. By the end of the call, we're actually going to be brainstorming what can we do on the coming sessions. And maybe not today, but from the next call, we're going to start to demonstrate real use cases of Web3 to, like I said, take it as public as possible to people to see, hands-on, let's say, what Web3 is about. So for anyone here or meaning to sign up, you don't have to be on all the calls, and we may have guests as well, apart from the people that have been signing up for the cohorts. So that's what I can share for as an opening note. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions so far. All make sense? Marco, do you think it's quite different from what you
I don't know. Show me all the stages.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was lacking to do that. So on the second stage, we're going to go into the closed calls that you attended. So that was the standard for your cohort. We can clip and publish some reels of them. I'm sure you remember this diagram here that shows a bit the back end and the front end of a solution plus the blockchain. We're going to go into detail about that. And so this is a bit like the working pieces of blockchain. And then we also look into the apps that we saw on stage one. We're going to deconstruct their business model. So not from a technical side, but from how do they make money with this application? How do they interact? How do they take it to market? And yes, as well a bit, how did they build it and what were the moving pieces there? So that's stage two. We also learn a bit about running, like what runs the chain for Cardano and how it's governed, which is mostly decentralized. On-chain governance, let's say. For stage three, I think we're going to funnel and narrow down a bit more, but for those that really want to create sort of like a pilot project or an idea to mature it and discuss it, we continue with closed calls, but the goal there is more to learn about smart contracts using the Marlowe technology and to build, so in the sense that here you were deconstructing business models, here you're going to build and ideate your own business model. So that you can incorporate it into your products, whatever they may be in whatever line of it.
It's pretty much what we did, but in a more structured and funneled way.
Yeah. So I think often we were jumping back and forth, getting too technical at some stages, and now we're going to leave the technical side for this third stage, the deeply technical one. And I really wanted to make this part public so that we can demonstrate use cases and have open disambiguation and discussion about what Web3 is.
Yeah, it's a dive. So you start by showing the basic strokes on how to swim, and then eventually you end up diving in, going into deep sea. But yeah, I think it's gonna be great because people will have the chance to first learn the basics, and then if they want to, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if it's mandatory to do all three stages.
No, it's like you can actually attend just the first and second one and say you've benefited enough. You don't really want to build or to do that exercise now. And 45B is going to be here long term to support you if you eventually want to do that later. So we're meaning to run cohorts.
I think it's going to be cool for two sets of people. For the ones who are getting into Web3 that don't understand what this is all about, and not only people who are interested in Cardano. I think one of the cool things that you do is to explain Web3 as a whole. So it's really interesting for someone who's just stepping into Web3. And the second part of the second group that would benefit from this would be people that have ideas for things that they want to build, but they don't know how to. Basically.
Yeah. Okay, we just got video and audio on Owen. Welcome as well. I'm going to mute you when you're not talking, and I'm going to ask you to do that by toggling the microphone on your side. But if you ever want to jump in, please feel free to do so. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Cheers. Okay, so you might have noticed on the right side of the screen I'm sharing, there's already today's topics. So we've done a bit of welcoming, what is Web3, what is 45B. I've already covered a bit the workshop series breakdown. So maybe let's cover this point here, which is what is Web3 versus crypto and blockchain. This is something that I've touched on the previous call as well, but I wanted to rehash it because it's a simple concept that, like I was texting with someone today, a learner, it's a common misconception, you know. Not everything is crypto, not everything is to do with decentralized finance or getting yield on tokens or investing at all. So we have this simple diagram that illustrates a bit where Bitcoin is a digital matter, a digital token that you can buy, and it's really just an asset that you can hold. Bitcoin is recorded on blockchain. And then there are a number of other things that were inspired from this, but they are mostly just financial in nature. And some of them are even very, very much disadvisable. But there is a lot of nice solutions, like what we call real world use cases, that were also built on top of the blockchain technology. And Cardano is the technology that we elected to work on. We'll get into why technically it's a superior technology. And like Marco was saying, we're not shy to acknowledge that there are tons of other alternatives. We even highlight their pros and cons. But yeah, the ecosystem that we are focused on onboarding people to is Cardano. You may notice there's this common ground here because yes, some of Web3 projects also have their token, but the reason that we consider that to be valid is because it's basically like a share of that project. But the important thing is to understand what is the real world use case of that project. If it is decentralized communications and the project is using their token to pay for that access to the internet, or if it's music and you're paying an alternative to Spotify that allows you to listen to music, that's what happens more in Web3. So I'm not sure if you can add anything or if you have any questions about this small chart.
I have, but you know, I.
You would fix some things in there. You would do it differently.
I would do it differently. Yeah, mainly because I don't see Bitcoin as just money, and
yeah.
But yeah, I would connect more Bitcoin to Web3.
Okay.
But I get that you're explaining it this way because it's easier to comprehend.
Okay, so let's bring it to this side. So this is from a presentation that we did at the Nomad World last year. It was great to be there, and you know, we basically, because we focus on Web3 and we see it as running on Cardano, we don't need to do much more with Bitcoin than to see it as sound money and having a hard cap of 21 million. Like I said in the beginning of the call, we're called 45B because it alludes with the 45 billion of ADA coin that exists on the Cardano blockchain in ecosystem. But yeah, we see this ADA as a governance token for Cardano, and we see Bitcoin as sound money in the Bitcoin blockchain to serve the world as just that. What happens is that, like I was showing you in this diagram here, both of them are recorded. So the transactions and the existence of these assets is recorded in this blockchain technology. And so the same way that things can be built that have tokens and other alternative coins on the Cardano ecosystem, there have been other technologies that start allowing us to do a lot of stuff on the Bitcoin blockchain or on parallel technologies, right? That's what basically you were alluding to, right, Marco?
Yes, that's what I'm alluding to. First, that's explain why I'm alluding to it. I'm the community lead for Rootstock, a Bitcoin sidechain. And yeah, of course, I see Bitcoin as a place where you can now, with these side chains and with L2s, and even with the ordinals and other technologies that came up in the past recent years, we can do more stuff with Bitcoin that we could do in the beginning, 2011, 2012. Now you can do more stuff, but I get it that for what you're explaining, this suits the explanation perfectly. That's not overcomplicated.
Okay. One thing that I was also I felt it was important to include in this slide is that both of them are open source protocols. So this is technology that anyone can download, review, run a different flavor of if they want. That has been happening even in Bitcoin now, where people didn't agree with the way that standard Bitcoin server works, and they just wrote a slightly different version, more to their aligned with their values. So there's open source side of all this is really, really important. And the grassroots values as well on both sides. We're going to see eventually down the line in these workshops that Bitcoin is sort of like by design without a governance mechanism. So basically you run the Bitcoin software, you hold the Bitcoin token or coin, and if you want to govern it, you voice your views around it, and people change the version of software they run or something like that. On Cardano, we actually have a governance system, so we are able to propose things on the Cardano blockchain. Those governance actions, as we call them, are persisted and stored on the blockchain, and then anyone can see that was put there and they vote. So that's why we say that ADA is the governance token, because when you vote, each ADA counts as a vote pro or against each proposal that was put on the blockchain for public scrutiny and deciding upon. So I'm not going to dive too much into that, so I'm just going to zoom out and come back to my points of today.
Lucas.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to like ask a question. Where you showed the charts earlier, Cardano and Bitcoin, and
this
then
one.
I saw a part. Yeah, I saw the sound money. What does it mean? Like
Okay.
I don't really get that.
Okay. So the culture of Bitcoin and since it was created, there's this fixed number of 21 million units of BTC tokens, BTC coin. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin coins in circulation. Okay, in this jargon, let's say, or term of sound money, contrasts with the typical dollar coin or euro that are inflationable. So they keep the central banks keep inflating those coins by printing more, and that's why we have inflation in the dollar and inflation in euro. And in some African coins, for example, you may know that inflation is a lot higher than it is in dollars, correct? So the term sound money is to describe that Bitcoin is the opposite of inflationary. It is as good as gold, let's say, where gold is a finite thing and there can only be it only exists so much gold that's above ground being transactioned by man. And gold, for example, is being mined, and it is actually more let's say we can dig up and mine more gold than Bitcoin, probably, because currently the inflation rate, Marco, correct me if I'm wrong, but the inflation rate in Bitcoin is already smaller than the inflation rate of gold. So that makes Bitcoin scarcer. Yeah, thank you. That makes Bitcoin scarcer even than gold, you know. And so, for example, if the gold price continues to go up as it has been going, that creates an incentive for more mining operations to pop up everywhere around the globe, and gold supply is actually going to start increasing faster. That is not going to happen with Bitcoin, because no matter how much demand for Bitcoin exists, the issuance curve is actually this kind of curve that we have on our logo for Cardano. They're very similar. So the issuance curve for Bitcoin is already defined since it was put to work. It was initiated in 2009, and it's not going to react to the fact that the world wants more Bitcoin. It's, you know, so I think that helps answer your question a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. You're very welcome. Thanks for raising the question, because I think I explained this part here a bit and I didn't really dive into this one so much. So yeah, just coming back to the topics that I had picked for today, I wanted to mention as well the typical profile of learners and outcomes to sign up for our course. I'm just going to put in the invitation to sign up again on screen. So you can go to 45b.io/web3 to sign up for our series of workshops. And the typical profile that we are looking for is people that are curious about questions like I just answered Aomi. So what makes Bitcoin sound money? Or what is Web3? And what are the real use cases that Web3 is catering to currently? So anyone that wants to learn about that is very, very welcome to join us, to experiment hands-on, especially as we go into stage 2 as well. And the outcomes of this is overall better common understanding of what is Bitcoin, what is Web3. And if you're running a business of any line of business, maybe in the end or during the course, you will start to consider incorporating Web3 into your business model. But that's something that we need to discuss as we get there. So I didn't finish typing this. I'm just going to put in some space here to improve it in a future call. And maybe we can reiterate around this. Now, I wanted to invite our learners to speak a bit. In Marco's case is about the past. In Owen's case is about the future, what your expectations are. So maybe it's going to be easier for Marco to go ahead and explain a bit what your background was before you joined the Web3 workshops, and what expectations, or what did you solved there for yourself in terms of more understanding of what is Web3 and Cardano?
Okay, so I already had some background in Web3, so I was not a newbie. I was when we started. I guess I was not at Woodstock at that time. I was working with other protocols. I then came back to Woodstock for my second iteration here, but meaning that I've been in the space since 2011. So when I bought my first bitcoins, and then I sold it the next day and took a loss. But let's not talk about that. Yeah, I had it for a brief 24 hours in 2011. I had in my possession about 27 bitcoins. Today it would be
That's going to continue to happen. Well, maybe not with that amount of Bitcoin, but it's going to continue to happen.
I wish though. But yeah, I sold them the next day. Took a loss for something that you guys may learn in Lucas workshops, that it's if you sell it the next day, you're always taking a loss, unless it's one of those events. But my purpose of doing this was to understand a little bit more about Cardano space. That's even though I was in the Web3 space for some time, I didn't understand how Cardano worked, because it's very different from the EVM chains that I was kind of used to. I also was in the Near ecosystem. It's also very different from the Near ecosystem. So different ecosystems work in different ways. That is also something you guys should know. And the best way to learn a little bit more about Cardano was to do these workshops and to understand how the community is organized, because it's essentially a part that I am very interested on being a community lead. The community side and the governance side is something that I'm very interested in knowing about, and it's really, really interesting. And also at the same time, to be able to understand how, if I have a project and I want to launch it, what can I do and how can 45B help me doing it?
Yeah, so that was one of the parts that I didn't touch on so far, but one of the outcomes is very much that we can help network you and add you, connect you with people that are building on the ecosystem. That's, for example, to get to this stage, it would be important to understand what you want to build, and it would be important that you get to this third stage, like I was highlighting before, where firstly we're just going to experiment and deconstruct a bit. But once you get to this stage and understand, okay, I want to build this kind of app, I'm going to create some non-fungible tokens, collectibles for my business, and I want to distribute them in such fashion, and my users or customers are going to benefit from certain features in my, I don't know, could be clothing store or any kind of product. It's at that stage that we are in the best position to say, okay, you need to find to meet with this kind of company in our space that is building, and they can budget this kind of solution for you. Okay, so Marco, any more thoughts about like how the sessions went or something like that?
I mean, the sessions went great. It's fun to interact with others that are going through different experiences and that have different backgrounds, and it's really, for me, is really interesting to understand where they're coming from and where they're going, and it adds up to the richness of the workshops, to have people with different backgrounds and wanting to do different things with the information that they're getting. So that was really
Yeah.
cool to experience.
Yeah, thanks. So, like I mentioned on the previous call, if we take a look at our previous cohort in Portuguese, I'm starting to create a section here like with a Portuguese flag, and this is the English new cohort that was spinning up. But if we fly over this section here, each of these clusters of stickies is one learner that had different backgrounds. Some were in agriculture, media, finance, or even tax law or something like that. And we try to ideate solutions for all of them. And all of the participants got to network between each other, between themselves, I mean. So thanks for pointing that out, Marco. Okay, what else? Maybe we can pass the mic to Owen a bit now. Are you okay to share a bit about your background and expectations?
Yeah. So, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, all good.
So my name is Owen Nyabicha, and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a student at Multimedia University, which is in Kenya, and I'm a founder of Campus Blockchain Club, actively involved in grassroots education for Web3 and blockchain technology. Um, I have a solid general understanding of blockchain and Web3, with strong exposure to Bitcoin and its principles around sound money, decentralization, and trust minimization. I'm newer to Cardano from the technical perspective, but familiar with it from the financial side. Uh, I joined 45B. Actually, I've come to learn that 45B actually means the 45 billion ADA that exists, and that is actually nice, Lucas. So,
Yeah, thanks.
yeah, I joined 45B out of curiosity from the working group calls to better understand Cardano governance and ecosystem enablement, and I've since been participating in the governance calls with Lucas. So
Oh, yeah.
my personal objective is to understand Web3 deeply enough to help bridge the gap between technology and everyday users. I'm especially interested in how systems like Cardano and Bitcoin can be used to improve access, trust, and efficiency for people and small businesses, particularly in emerging markets. Long term, I want to contribute to education, onboarding, and adoption by making these technologies uh, easier to understand and more inclusive. So my expectations are, I'm hoping that these workshops can move beyond the surface level exposure, and we can create real sustained engagement, long-term engagement. So I'm particularly interested in seeing clear pathways for participants, especially students and the SMEs, to go
Mhm.
from learning about Web3 to actually participating in the ecosystem in a meaningful way. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. That was a great intro. I'm making notes. Um, and it feels like you're going to join our team as well. Help engage people into the ecosystem is a big part of what we do, right?
Yeah. I would love to, more than willing, Lucas.
Cool. Just making a note here. Okay, so I'm going to bring back the screen, and see if I do it correctly. I also removed Marco for a bit. And okay, so I don't think we have any more. We've spoken with Aomi on the previous call about their expectations. So maybe let's move on today's topics. We've already covered like 35 minutes of our time. We've gone a bit back and forth on the topics, but I think we've pretty much distinguished Bitcoin from Cardano. So not sure if you have any more questions on that. If you do, just jump in, please. Any other key distinguishing factors of Cardano? I think the main one is the governance part that I can point out, but also the fact that where other technologies have been completely open sourced and developed by communities, like is the case of Bitcoin, and others have been developed, I would say, more by venture capital fueling experimentation and trial and error. Cardano tried to find a sweet spot where it resorted to scientists, it resorted to mathematicians. A lot of papers were written before Cardano. The Cardano initiative wrote a line of code because they wanted to make sure that the technology, the logic behind the technology, all makes scientific sense, and all that scientific rigor was put in place before creating the technical side, or meaning the actual software side of Cardano. So that's one of the key distinguishing factors. Earlier, just now, I was showcasing this website that's eerily similar to the 45B website, because we basically forked their website. So I was showing you cardano.org, where you can learn a lot about Cardano overall. And also, if you go to, what was the other one I meant to show you? So yeah, about the papers. If you go to IOG, you will see there that there's a truckload of papers that were let's say, articulated to get to what Cardano is today. So you can come here on the research side, and let's see if we can get there like this. This is more like the media, and if we get to research, well, I think this is a nice place to leave you on, and browse a bit by yourself. Maybe bring more questions to future sessions if you have any. But yeah, it gets really, really intricate, and it's something that is for sure a distinguishing factor of Cardano. Let's not dive too much into that today.
Lucas,
So yes?
yeah, I think as you just said, what distinguishes Cardano from Bitcoin mainly is the fact that Cardano emphasizes on research-driven development, the formal methods, and the planned evolutions. I think they come in line to lead to a better, sustainable ecosystem.
Yeah. Sustainability is something that could be a big rabbit hole for us and for everyone in this kind of spaces, right? Because you can talk about the sustainability of the network, you can talk about the sustainability of the projects on Cardano. That's why we like to focus, by the way, on projects that are already real world projects with real world products, and Cardano or Web3 is a conduit or an addition to what the project is already doing. But thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, that makes total sense. So here we have a bit small exercise on what can we do on the next call. I had put in 2 stickies here maybe we could start by creating a testnet wallet for Cardano live here, just to show everyone how simple it can be. And I'm using testnet on here because it's what I've used for to onboard people since like for the past 4 years, and it feels a lot simpler when people are not using real ADA. It's really just a game, it's just a side chain or a test net. And so yeah, let's hopefully do that on the next call. I'm not sure if Owen can be here, Aomi mainly, probably Marco has done this like months ago and doesn't have that need anymore, but you're invited to come by to go ahead and start doing this hands-on. The other thing we could do is browse directories of Web3 apps and explore, or let's say shortlist things to see on even further calls. Do you guys have anything that comes to mind that we've done, Marco, or that we could do that you can think of?
Not really, no. Yep, sorry.
Okay.
Nothing more.
No worries. No worries, all good. Okay, so I'm gonna keep these on the board for now, and we can align asynchronously. So I've had the links.45b invitation circulating on top of your screen. That's the place to go to DM with us, or to talk in our Discord or our Telegram or WhatsApp. We have a number of channels that you can use to give us more feedback about this. And I think that brings us to the end of today's call. So it's just a call to action to go exactly where I was saying, links.45b.io, to follow us as well if you found this discussion interesting and you want to stay in the loop. And the main suggestion that we have is, if you're at all curious about Web3, drop by this URL, 45b.io/Web3, and sign up to be in the future calls, whether it's for stage 1, where we're here just live to different social networks, or if you want to sort of skip this and just watch asynchronously on YouTube, but you want to be on stage 2, which is closed door calls to go more into the concepts, you should really sign up, okay? So that we keep adding you to the right chats and call invitations. So I think that's all I have to share for today. Anything else? Any goodbye notes from your side?
I just want to thank you for the invite, and hope people sign up and that they learn a lot. Because one thing that hasn't been said, Lucas here is an awesome teacher, if you want to call it that. Just a guy that explains very well, knows what he's talking about, and explains very well about Web3 and other things as well. But yep, sign up and you'll see for yourselves. And I think you're gonna like it, Owen. It's really cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was really interesting to discuss with you. And in the end, everyone that joins becomes sort of a partner and becomes like a resource that we can resort to, and we as well become a resource for them. So yeah, there's a lot of partnerships that can spring out of this. Owen, do you want to just say bye or any thoughts before we close today's call?
Yeah, Lucas. I'm so grateful for the invite to this call. It has been so nice, and it has been, yeah, I just loved it. So for the next call, I'm going to invite my friends to join in and see what they are missing on, or so they can learn something about Web3. Yeah.
That sounds
So
good.
I think my call to action is I'm going to bring people into these calls for them so that we can work this together. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cool. That's a very important call to action. Yeah. So tell your friends. It's something that we can all do, and that we never know who is more receptive to this and who can take on the challenge of exploring, and how much it can benefit them in different ways. So I think that's a nice place to leave us on. Thank you so much, Owen, Marco, and Aomi as well for being here. And we'll see you next week, or on any kind of way that you can use to get in touch with us. Okay. See ya.
See you.